Just need to actually get in the game at some point. That's probably a good idea. Hello, hello. How's it going? Can you hear me? Good. Good. Taylor. First one. Yeah. That's fine. That's fine. Trust me, I've had like everyone call me basically anything at this point. Yeah, Mike was using pyro through last week, I'm pretty sure. So, like throughout the whole like middle of the race and that. So, either is good. Whatever you want to use. Yep, that's fine by me. Yeah. Well, last week was quite fun, quite funny because so we were trying to go back and forth who could get in the lobby, and Mike had about 15 invites before he could actually join. He had absolutely no way of getting into the lobby whatsoever, and then everyone was not sure whether or not like crossplay should be on.
on their ass, bitch, I'm on the rail. I rap it, I bag it, I pack it for sale. Got feeling on speed out, I hit me to chill. I give it a thrill, I put it on film. Niggas facade get applaud, that ain't real. Come to my section and flex, we can tell. I got a show and she dipping them nails. I'm flipping my L's, I know they can tell. I did it too major, they hit me for favors. Been him since the cable was cut in the cradle. What's up, only right that I do it. Colossal until I'm a boss, so they want me to fail. Look, we prevail. Tell them to point out who said that they run it. Bitch, I'm on your tail. Know that they talking, they telling them tales. It's not hard to tell, that shit for the sale.
Honestly, I know it's hard to believe, but you have to trust me. It's got maximum taste and zero sugar.
Stop playing games, wooden boy.
No, I'm a real boy.
Pepsi Max. Maximum taste, zero sugar. Try and believe.
What do you see here? Maybe history, or maybe it's the future.
Amarti mi consola. Amami ancora, fallo dolcemente, un anno e mezzo, un'ora.
Tonali plug-in hybrid, a new charge of sportiness.
Good evening, everybody. Hope you're doing fantastic and wonderful this evening. And once again, we are back for Division 2 of Season 3 of the Ultimate Masters. And round number 1 at Austria today, which is going to be quite exciting. Joining me in the commentary booth today is the wonderful Taylor. Taylor, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. Thank you very much for joining me in particular. Tier 2 is going to be an absolute blast. I can't wait. How you doing?
You know what, I'm doing absolutely fantastic, and I'm glad to hear you're doing wonderful as always. And yeah, today it's going to be an absolute amazing and fantastic race. Fingers crossed. We've got a lot of competitive, fast teams hereabouts on the league, bits and bobs like that. So what we can do is we'll move over to the official teams, I guess, and have a bit of a chit chat and a discussion of what team could be the fastest, as my thing has just played up and said my LAN cable's just connected and stuff like that. Amazing. But whilst I'm trying to fix that issue, why don't you take it away, Taylor, with the teams we have qualifying for Tier 2?
Yeah, so in Tier 2, CPI got the fastest times and therefore first choice. They'll be in the Mercedes this time round. You've got the NLR development team in the Alfa Romeo. You've got X in the Ferrari. Those two did a pretty good job last week, 2 weeks ago, and we'll see what they're able to do today. Relentless in the Red Bull, TGF in the McLaren, IRT in the AlphaTauri, and then the other IRT team in the Alpine, NRT in the Haas, LRN in the Aston Martin, and TTL in the Williams. And it's a decent lineup. It's definitely maybe not as strong as some of the people we saw last week in Div 1, but there's a few guys in this particular tier that can put a really good race together if they can get it up and running. And we saw that in the qualifying with CPI. They had a couple of guys that absolutely nailed it. You had 2X guys, both in the, I think it was like 20 points, like 21-6 or something. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's roughly the times at Abu.
Wow. Pretty impressive than the lap times
Yeah.
coming in from Tier 1 then. So I'm guessing we'll see how CPI compete today, I guess.
Honestly, I think CPI are probably favorites. They're not outright favorites. They're definitely guys that are gonna give them one hell of a run for their money. So, for example, there's a driver that's currently in the lobby, Dominic Nielsen for TGF, who had an absolute blinder of a run in the first of the 2 qualifying sessions 2 weeks ago. So, so he'll give him a run for the money. I think NLR also will be up there. Spicer, I'm pretty sure, did the fastest time out of everyone. So it's not as clear cut as maybe the other tier, well, what we thought the other tier was going to be going into race 1.
Interesting. Very interesting. So I'm liking the finding out and picking the favourites of what it could be an awesome battle, potentially being NLR and potential CPI. Having a look at the grid lineup as well again. Obviously, Relentless, Ariel in the Red Bull team. They haven't done too bad. They were quite competitive last season, and they kind of dropped and lost their form throughout the ending result. And then you have the X team, X Esports, I believe that is, in the Ferraris, and they put up a good fight towards the end of the season. So we could probably see who's very competitive. But like you said, if it's CPI dominating in Tier 1, there could be favourites for Tier 2 as well. So I guess we'll just see and wait to see what happens.
Oh, yeah, and obviously being the first race of the season, I said this last week for those who watched that race too, that not everyone is aware of who they're driving against and the style of the people that they're driving against. And that was very evident last week. And I'm assuming it'll be very evident here too, because you get some guys, I keep harping back to last week, but there was a 4-way battle at the front, and then everything started to kick off, and so it ended up in a massive collision at the back of that pack. But here, there could be the potential of one person running away with this. Obviously, that might have been the case if you looked at Abu Dhabi with Spicer, but this is Austria, much shorter track. It's a a track much more dependent on getting every single corner right, and that could cause a lot of problems for different teams. Obviously, some people might be strong here, some people might be not. We're about to head into qualifying here.
Yes, and I'm very, very excited to see which driver and which team can be the fastest on the track. And as we're at Austria, it's like a little role model of Brazil. Everybody at the start is going to be very, very, hopefully, careful into turn number 1. And as we go around the track for the first couple of laps, everybody will be grouped together. So hopefully we will see drivers giving the space that they should be giving, but we'll see what happens. But fingers crossed we see the space. But, you know, hard racing into turn 1 on lap 1 with craziness left, right and centre. It could get a bit, how shall I say it, partially interesting. Would you agree, Taylor?
I was going to say messy, but I think I can get alongside with that description. Like, you've got the ability from some of these drivers in this grid. Whether they'll be clean is something entirely different. And obviously strategies and that will also play a part. In the last week's race, there was rain at the end, so everyone was trying to play in a way towards that, and it came up with some very interesting results. So it looks pretty dry at the start of qualifying here. I don't know if that will change as we go along. But it can change a lot in the standings.
It can change a lot in the standings, and of course, this is going to be round 1. So if you win the first race or you don't, there's still a lot of rounds to get your head down and continue with this championship. Of course, we do not include the Drivers' Championship. It's only the team's constructors we count, as the most team that scores the most points throughout the whole season will be crowned the champion. And good news, we have our first driver on the track, and it's the ALFA ROMEO team, and taking it very slow on their first outlap, shall we say. And Taylor, we could see potential rain just because it's looking a little bit, cloudy and a bit misty out there. So maybe there is rain. Maybe it could be, I don't know, forming above right now. You never know, but that could be quite interesting if there's a mix of rain as well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. If rain has the chance to throw everything off, and if there is rain, I don't know, we'll have to wait and see on that front. getting out early, especially if it comes in qualifying, would be beneficial. And you can see that the first 2 cars out on track, both Alfa Romeos, both NLR guys, who Spider is the obvious one that I had to point out at the start of this, because he, 2 weeks ago, fastest time, and you could, if we were to do a theoretical drivers' championship, he would be probably the favorite as we watch his teammate Lars come over the line now for the first flying lap of the season here in Div 2. He's currently in 8th gear, and then down the 4th through turn 1, and it looked a little bit wide, a little bit too much of the outside, but I think he'll do just fine as he heads through turn 2 now up towards turn 3 in the hairpin. And obviously a purple sector 116.0 as we see as he goes through through the hairpin at turn 3, now down the hill once again through 4. And actually, I think he's backed out of it.
He has, and we've had a first retirement of the session of somewhat in the pit lane, or
Spider's retired in the pit. No,
that is
Spider's retired in the pit. What are
this
NLR doing?
Maybe they could be doing a John Ottman, you know, a classic last to first here at Div 2 Round 1 Austria. But I wouldn't say it's the perfect track to do a last to first challenge, just because, you know, how close everyone is on the first lap. But you know, we'll just see what happens. But Lars backing off there and starting again. And I've just been told in the chat that they have a quali ban. So I'm guessing that's been carried on from last season. And they have to serve a ban. It's a 1:13.2 by Lars, which is obviously quite slow. So they'll find a lot more lap times to improve. So let's go and find another driver that could potentially be on a quick lap. And it could be Wessel and the Williams or Frank.
Frank is the next one. Frank is the next one to the line. But as we watch the end of Frank's lap, more on that ban actually, because you bringing that up, in fact, does remind me. I actually think that they may have screwed up here, NLR, then, and I think that Lars realized 104.1 from Frank. That's not going to be anywhere near quick enough. And I think Lars has realized he has screwed up royally here. Because yes, they got that 1 car ban because they did not, in fact, submit their team roster in a sufficient amount of time. They were late on their team roster, so they got a 1 car qualifying ban and a penalty point. And there goes Lars with a 103.7, so maybe not. Yeah, so that played into a lot. That played a lot more. I just thought Spider was. Yeah, I thought Spider was just backing out for no reason. But that changes everything then, doesn't it, Oliver?
It does indeed. It changes a lot of things, and it can get, I would say, a little bit scary, because obviously one's on pole position right now for 103.7, leading the pack in qualifying so far, and then his teammate, that in 7th, will then be knocked all the way down to P18. So it's going to get very, very scary as the qualifying continues, as drivers put their lap in, because obviously starting at the back of the grid at Austria, like I was saying earlier, isn't ideal, especially if how grouped together the cars are. And turn 1, if you get caught in a crash or a tangle, your lap and race could be finished at turn 1 on lap 1. You don't know, because obviously you don't know how much bad damages. You just don't know. You don't want to take any risks.
Oh, exactly. And Sib just done a 103.797. It's ever so slightly slower than Lars in the first 2 minutes of qualifying here. And oh, there goes Jamie. There's another one out of the session. So Spider will not be starting last.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing. It'll be positive he's starting not last on the grid. He's ahead of last place, so that's not a bad gamble. As we've got Henke now in that Mercedes. Lovely livery. Coming around to turn number 10 now. A very good entrance there. A bit of a drift out of there, shall we say. Up to the line. And it's going to be a 103.6. Faster than Lars. Drops it down to P2. That's a very competitive lap time. And a very close grid almost. As I say that, Luca goes across the line in the Ferrari and does a 103.5. So faster lap times and the track ramps up the heat on the track. It's coming together for some drivers. They are finding pace out there. A lot of pace.
Oh, yeah. And, well, last week, the Div 1, the no assists category, if you want to call it that, they set themselves, well, pole position. OP Mubarak got himself a 103.1 backed out of his final lap. I think he may have had a couple attempts in it. So it would be interesting to see how they stack up against that, as I'm currently watching Wildstorm F1 go through his laps at the moment. He's just coming through the final couple of corners and has actually decided to go into the pits. But yeah, the start of this is definitely gone to what I said at the beginning. It's NLR, CPI, X. That's your front three, and it's going to be a lot closer than maybe some people would expect in this championship, Oliver.
That is very true, and that's what we like to see. A very exciting ending towards this season of how close cars and drivers are going to get on the track. But what you've got to be most careful of is, I always say, in qualifying, you can be fastest on the track by how many tenths you want to be, but it's all about race pace. You can take the lead on lap 1, but the thing is, can you then develop that race pace into a consistent race pace, or is your race pace not as great as the other driver, as their qualifying can't be great, and then the race pace is amazing? You know, like John Watmere, he's one of the greatest of all times in esports. His qualifying pace can be appalling or atrocious, but his race pace is just phenomenal. So it's just all about, if your race pace is up there with your qualifying pace, you've got the lead, but if your race pace isn't that great, then you could be struggling on the back foot.
Oh, yeah, no, it's that plays into the strategy of everything, though. Also, Lighty did a 103.45, puts himself on provisional pole with about half of quali left to go. But it also plays to the strategy, and which is why I think NLR decided to do what they've done. Obviously, Spider, the so-called quicker guy, maybe it won't pan out like that. But if you get the quicker guy into a position where he can maybe make up a few positions, it might allow someone like a Lars to try and put himself at the front, just so they can get a good result out of Lars, and then Spider can fight his way back into the race as they go along. Now, on the flip side of that, I'm posing this as a question to you: should they have gone with Spider as the driver to take quali and get themselves maybe a guaranteed pole, maybe a guaranteed win, or as like something just nailed on in this first race?
That's a very good thing to point out. That is quite interesting. That's made me think now. Well, I guess it depends how quick Spire is. And if they're a quick driver, then I guess I would go with Spire. I'll go with Spire down in P15. If he's quicker than his teammate, why wouldn't you take provisional pole and let him run away? Like, if you know what I mean. Because if he can break the DRS gap on lap 1, then it could be seeing colours. Or maybe Spire is a quick driver, but he's decided, you know what, I want to start the back of the grid and I want to fight my way through the pack. You know, he could do that, but it could be a bit of a risky gamble, because the Lars right now is only in P4. So could that be his starting position? Could he get back on pole position, or will he drop a few positions if he can't improve his lap time? And other drivers can. This is the gamble that obviously team principals, the engineers take on board and see what they can develop and see what they can do, unfortunately. But yeah, I would have gone with Spire, who's down in P16 and they can't qualify because of that ban. So yeah.
Oh yeah, as we go along, talking about Lars and the other NLR drivers, he managed to keep that on track and has actually got himself onto provisional pole. There you go, half a second quicker.
Fantastic.
We're going to make that point as he went a quarter of a second quicker in the first two sectors, nailed the final one, and just puts himself well into contention for pole at the end of this.
It does indeed, and that's what's absolutely fantastic. We're just saying that it didn't look very race pacey, and all of a sudden he's just gone, you know what, I've proved you all wrong, and just absolutely flew around the track. Now, we've got Blackberry Hall in that McLaren right now, coming up to turn number 10. Are they going to be able to challenge for the top 5 potentially? Let's find out as they cross the line. And it's going to be only P16 at 104.4. He gets a lap time in, but doesn't improve on position, which isn't ideal. I did see someone else on up, and I believe it was Frank, and he is flying apparently in Sector 2 by about 4/10, which is quite impressive. So let's see if Frank can be competitive potentially for the top 5, pole position or top 3. Turn 10 now, exit there, does that to perfection. Lovely exit up to the line. What's it going to be? It's a 103.6, and he goes P5 ahead of his teammate, who's in P6.
Yeah, and both the Alpines looking pretty good. And we said that we had something similar last week. It was CPI in the position that the Alpines are currently in. And you get the question now whether or not, wow, as Luca, the X just does a 103.283, 4,000 of a second quicker than Lars. Lighty did not improve on his lap, so it's going to stay that way for, well, until the last little runs here. But yeah, when you get yourself into a position where you have two teammates directly beside each other, is the team game more overpowering than just raw pace? What do you think about that?
Well, from last season, I believe CPI, they're very, very good at, what do you call it? They're very, very good at team players and team management. So I remember back in Qatar on lap 1, they were both locked out the front grid, so they were like first and second. And what they did is they just let the guys behind battle. They then came to the point where they were 1 and 2, so obviously you don't want to fight too much, not lose too much time behind. So what they did is they did a bit of a tow, and they both worked together to break the second to P3, and then those two just switch along the straight, and then just help each other build that gap and be dominant. So I could probably see, you know, little DRS trains by teammates, you know, switching positions on exit at turn 10 down to turn 1, and then switch again from turn 1 down to turn 3, and etc. Where the straights just let the driver ahead of you pass to just build that gap and play the team game. But obviously, as some people know, when it comes to the team game, if you've got two drivers in that team that don't like to do that team player game side of things, then you could be in a bit of trouble, shall we say, because obviously if you don't like to be a team player, that's where you could lose a quite amount of significant points, which isn't ideal.
Oh yeah, at the end of the day, it's a team championship. You have to be a team player, and that's why I'm so concerned, because I saw CPI last week try this, and it didn't work at all.
Oh wow.
In the end, the rain kind of screwed Igor a little bit. And yeah, so you have to if you're going to do the team game, you have to get it right. If you it could cost quite dearly. Katkowski almost converted it anyway. They ended up being in third, I believe. But yeah, that's why I'm bringing up the point of the team game, because if you can play the team game effectively, it'll work. If not, then you've got to contend with the raw pace of people like Manga, who just went fourth in a 103.5 and is now coming into the pits, or a Luca or a Lars or a Lighty, who have got very clear raw pace about them today.
Yes,
but their teammates are not exactly beside them, apart from Henke for the CPI team, but their teammates elsewhere are not exactly present at this point in time.
That is very true, and we'll have to wait and see what that can bring to the race. Something very exciting racing challenges, as we're going to have Taupe now up to the line. They were around about 3/10 up, currently P13, and they improved to P8 around about 4/10, and it's a 103.7. The grid technically almost within a second, which is absolutely fantastic and lovely to see. Now, here's the bit that gets interesting, Taylor. 2 minutes and 30 seconds to go. We've got a bit of a team game here I'm seeing right now with both of the Alpines going to beat each other a bit of a tow, which that might have helped, might have not. We'll see if P9 can improve on the lap time. We'll see what happens in the near future with IRTOs right on board of them. But getting to the end of qualifying, what do you think, Taylor? Who do you think is going to succeed pole position, as the track is getting very, very busy now? As you can see, every single driver is on the track.
I reckon last one on Lars or Luca, I reckon will get it, because if Lars goes on first and doesn't beat it, then Luca's just going to also save a set of tyres. But also with the Alpine team game, as you rightly pointed out, they've given themselves a toe down the straight, and I think that Sieb was about to return the favour as well, as he goes down to the line now, is quicker, and is only good enough for 7th in that. might be
I
the
don't
end of
know.
his qualifying.
I think it will, because to be honest, those two, Sebi and Frank, it didn't work because he was down by a margin in sector 1. So I don't think the toe worked. I think the toe, they were too close, gave it dirty air. Frank moved, and it looked like Sebi kind of lost his braking as Frank there. A bit of a drift there at turn 1 that could be then done and dusted. We don't know, as I didn't really capture the full onboard, but I think they might finish. But they're still pushing, and they're 7/10 down on their time, so they're not going to back off of that. Anybody else, or is it that Alpine that started a lap? Is Lars on a lap? No. Luca is
A
on
couple
a
of
lap.
guys in behind, but the Alpine have just did themselves a reverse toe. They switched the guys. Sieb gave Frank a toe down towards turn 4. Luca also in process of going through his lap. We'll see whether or not Frank has made up some time. Frank has indeed made up some time, and that would be enough to put him in front of the McLaren currently sat in 5th.
Wow.
Watch to the line now. DKM Jamie has left the session. That's not a good sign. We got 21 seconds left of the qualifying session. Frank now to the line. It's a free. It's a free. And all the frees for Frank as he puts himself third on the grid.
A 10th
until
improvement.
Luca. Wow.
That's mighty. Can Lars do it now?
Wow.
In P2? Can he compete for pole position? I don't know.
I did say earlier it'll be the one that's the last on the track. So Lars is the last one on the track. Whether or not he has to be on a flying lap right now.
No, he's
it's
down.
not a good enough flying lap. Oh no!
Lightly's crashed. He's gone off.
What the hell? Oh, that's the final corner.
Yeah, he's gone off. He is done. He's starting P4. Unless Mango can improve, and they are indeed. They're pushing very, very hard and seem to be flying around the track right now in that Mercedes. CPI looking to challenge. Lars invalidated. Oh my
Lars
goodness.
invalidated, and he was slower anyway. So that is game, set, and match for him. As we see Mango to the line, it's only doing a 0.4, and that is probably game, set, and match here. I think that might be Luca on pole.
Yeah,
unless Blackberry Hall is going to do one hell of a lap here now. It's at the end of his qualifying too. So that's it.
Impressive. That was impressive. Literally a 10th improvement. Wow. All I saw on my screen in Sector 2 was literally 50,000 up on his time. Sector 3, a 10th. He just found time when he needed to find it. Done and dusted. There you go. He's on pole position by a fair margin. So he is looking to challenge maybe for that win today. So it depends. It's going to be X Esports who are taking pole position right now in the Ferrari team for P1. P2 is going to be NLR racing for Alfa Romeo, currently in P2, sorry. And then in P3 is Frank. Racing for the Alpine team is going to be IRTA. So there you have it. Those are your top 3. Everybody else within a second. It's pretty interesting because I thought CPI might be a little bit dominant, but they've only managed 5th and 7th right now, which is quite interesting.
It's fair. I expected a lot more from Mango. Mango is, as I've seen most of these guys' names now, who did the qualifying 2 weeks ago. But in terms of prior to that, in terms of my knowledge, Lars and Mango were mostly the ones I've seen. Mango was considerably quicker than Lars. Basically, every single time I had seen those two race before it's rain.
There we go.
Oh,
like you said, rain on the way, and here it is at the wonderful track of Austria. Now, turn 1 will be very, very interesting. Have drivers taken the gamble for a wet setup? That's the gamble I want to know.
Surely they've tweaked it maybe a little bit to get a wet setup. Surely they had to know this was coming. This is not exactly light rain, so the game would have told them that it's this looks like maybe a 75 and 80% chance of rain setting. So they surely should have known this was coming, and I think they'll have prepared for it. But that effectively renders qualifying mute. we just about go lights out, and the rain is just a different skill set as a whole. We are now lights out, and away we go. So who's going to get the better start in this race? And it looks like Luca has managed to cover the door off very slightly, as Lars is going to go round the outside and off the track. Oh, there goes the McLaren!
McLaren's off. Okay, so Dominic is all the way down in P18 now. Very unfortunate start for them. Drivers losing places left, right, and centre. And actually, what's surprising to see is that Lars is fighting away with the AlphaTauri in P2 now, as AlphaTauri gets ahead of Lars, but they're going to go and continue this battle down to P2. It looks like the Alfa Romeo's got better straight line speed at the moment than the Alfa Romeo, but they're still side by side and making slight contact. They're still going to try and fight it. The more they fight, the more this helps Luke out on P1 in wet conditions, which isn't ideal. Obviously, no DRS. It's going to be a lot about the battery saving. But as we come through Sector 2, not much happening at the moment, but the Alfa Romeo putting a lot of pressure on the AlphaTauri right now.
Yeah, you can definitely see that Frank has not got a good enough wet setup, or was not gambling for the wets at all. And, well, he's dropped from third, and both the CPI drivers, we might be in a CPI wheelhouse right now, as these two drivers are going to be going, well, things might be carving through the field as we go along. Just in Henke get past Frank, and Mango is about to go at Lars, and there's a few guys that, well, as I said before, the rain is obviously a very different skill set. You need to know more of the braking points. You need to, as we see, Lars versus Mango going into the hairpin now on the outside. It looks like a little bit of contact. Not the greatest of exits here for Lars, and that should allow the Mercedes through, and it has done as they go down towards turn 4. And
I'm going to be honest, I think you're right, because Frank is losing positions left, right, and centre. We've got William drifting off the track. There's been a slightly big crash. I believe there's a Williams and P11 with no front wing. I think Frank was slightly involved with that contact, or whatever happened back there. There's some drivers now facing damage, and that's going to be the Aston Martin of LRN Donahue in P9 with a missing left winglet, which isn't ideal. Downforce is going to be a struggle, and I believe he is entering the pit lane, and he is. But Frank, like you say, Taylor, struggling in these conditions. Like you say, has he gone for a dry setup, and is he gambling and hoping that it stops raining soon enough to build that massive gap? And there's going to be not a virtual, it's going to be a safety car.
That's a safety car.
As
Wait,
Jamie has crashed. Jamie's crashed near the exit at turn 10 down to turn 1. So they've had a moment, and unfortunately, it looks like they've got into the wall.
Yeah, and that is going to save the LRN guy by a mile. It's not easy to get back when it's raining. Obviously, the rain it hampers everyone's speed, and the only way you can be fast in the rain is to know your turning points. You have to know more about the corner than the person behind you. And if you can get the person behind you to make a mistake, or if you're behind and get the person in front of you to make a mistake, maybe because of the rain, maybe because of strategy, maybe because of something that we might not know, as you brought up the point that it might end up going dry at some point.
That's what we're hoping for, fingers crossed.
Yeah, you can't really gain it back. Safety car is going to help him massively. And I'm not entirely sure what Frank and Lars were thinking here. Maybe it just could be that they are not that great in the wet. That could be an entire possibility.
That could be the possibility,
but
and I wouldn't agree. I would agree with you if that is the case, because obviously myself playing this game, I'm absolutely awful in wet conditions. Even if I've got a wet setup on, I'm just awful. Very, very slow.
Yeah, I'm usually it depends on what I'm on. If I'm on a pad, I know it's maybe extremely counterintuitive, but if I'm on a pad, I'd rather do rain races every single time if I'm on a pad. If I'm on a wheel, do not put me anywhere near a wet track. I cannot keep the car straight, never mind actually drive. Yeah, the safety car is going to be out for probably maybe a lap, maybe 2, because we've got Dominic that needs to come round the back and catch back up. But
pretty much.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it's going to lighten up anytime soon, Oliver.
I think it's getting heavier. It looks like on my screen the rain is starting to pick up a little bit more, which if it is, that could hinder to the wet tyres, but at some points it looks like the rain's heavy, and then when you go on board at different camera angles it looks quite light. But I guess it just depends what Austria's thinking, what it wants to do for wet conditions here and there. And speaking of the track itself, the position change is quite interesting actually, and drastically it changes. So Spire, Roger, Blackberry, all up by 5 positions. So they've had a very good start so far. Unfortunate for Frank, who's lost 5 positions at the start. But the biggest loser and loss out of this is going to be Dom, down in P17, losing 11 positions after having that contact into turn 1. So Dom with a lot of work to do, as Jamie has left the session, as they crashed on the opener, at the end of the open lap, I believe 2 or 3, and they've had a bit of a moment and unfortunately out of the race, so can't join backwards because their cars is into bits. But no, some drivers gaining a few places, especially looking at the top 6 and top 7 upwards and onwards. Luca staying where he wants to stay in P1, which he's very happy with, and CPI gaining, and Lars losing 2. So it's interesting. I feel like half of the grid has gone wet setup, and some drivers have taken the gamble and not gone for the wet setup and go for the dry instead. So they're probably hoping it's going to drop, and Taupe as well. A 5-second time penalty. Got no clue what that's for.
He cut the corner and gained an advantage off of turn 3, I believe, because that was a very, very, very early penalty. It's a first lap incident for Taupe, who's now fighting against it the entire way. He's got 5, I believe it's 5 seconds for leaving the track and gaining an advantage. So he gained a place. Yeah, it's definitely not ideal.
As well.
Yeah, you've got a few incidents that's happened so far this race, and I don't know where we stand. I don't think I've learned much more about this race than we did at the beginning of this race, Oliver. I don't know about you.
I've not learned much at the moment. I've just seen obviously wet conditions with some of these drivers, and some don't like it, some do. Yeah, it just depends, because I see some drivers on some corners and they just keep losing the back end, or they're going around the track and they lose the back end, or they have a moment and someone tries to go for a move and it's not possible. It's interesting, but then you got CPI dominant, looking like it. X Esports off to a very good start, 1st and 6th. So some teams having a good start. I don't know about Frank though. I think Frank is struggling. Same with Lars. He is struggling big time. So those two could be under pressure from the restart, which should be in this lap.
Absolutely. So got in this lap. There you go. We'll get Luca. Luca will obviously start us back up. We'll be going on his count. So the only different thing that's going on is that this rain has now got considerably lighter. I don't know if how light it's going to get. It's definitely not what we had as the downpour at the start of this, but the track obviously getting a lot wetter because we just had a safety car for 3 laps. The real question is, where's Luca going? Which corner do you think he's going at?
I think he's going to go on the exit of turn 10.
You think he's going at the end of the beginning of the straight? No, he's going now.
Oh,
he's caught. Now. I think he's caught lightly a little bit sleeping there. He's caught all of us sleeping a little bit there, to be fair. As we go off from the safety car, restart yet again, and Luca is trying to break the toe. It's raining, and it's not going to be that effective. As we go down into turn 1, Lighty 0.5 of a second back now, as we see Mango is getting closer rather than Lighty actually pushing for the lead of this race, and we're splitting into little 2-man packs going off the start here. I think LRN has just gained a couple of positions. Donik has got past Wildstorm, and Lars versus Henke is going on at the front of the field too. It's going on. There's a few battles going all over the place as we go on the restart of this safety car. Spicer looking to try and work his way through the pack. He's going to do that down the inside of Blackberry Hall. That is a beautiful move. Oh,
The Mercedes had
that's
a
it.
exit moment and just lost the back end. There was no contact whatsoever, just the Mercedes just losing the back end and round. So Hinky down in P17, not a good race for CPI either now. They're gonna start struggling a little bit.
Yeah, it's also Wildstorm basically doing the exact same thing further down the exit of the corner. So that's two more that have, fumbled their way out of this race. Well, not entirely out of this race, but they got a long, long way back after a safety car to make that mistake.
And also, you got to think as well, if CPI were thinking, we'll play the team game, we'll get our team up there and fight for the lead, it doesn't look like what happened now because obviously hasn't got his teammate, and actually there's someone else around, and that's going to be Frank who's around.
Frank!
And I don't actually know, it slightly looked like it, I don't know if the Red Bull made contact, or if Frank made contact with the Red Bull made contact with Frank. I don't know if Frank just lost the back end of that exit there, but that's quite unfortunate. And he now drops down to P15. So a lot of these drivers we're talking about in qualifying, looking to be competitive and dominant over the race, find themselves now at the back of the grid as we've got Dom and Owen going wheel to wheel right now, and that McLaren making up into P12. And there's the Aston Martins fighting as well. So like you say, teammates needing for the team game, but some just a free-for-all right now.
Yeah, it's the safety car restart has thrown this race into a little bit of a chaos, especially towards the back here. The Aston Martins have separated a little bit, and I think Donique is letting Roger go after Blackberry Hall, who's currently in 9th after the spins for both Henke and for Frank. As we go down the straight here, and I think Roger is going to get alongside as we go down towards the hairpin up the hill. And I think Roger's not even going to get alongside. He's going to get in front before that even happens. And yeah, that's a pretty good move here for Roger. You're okay there?
I don't know. There's something going on my LAN cable, but it's fine. It is plugged in, so I don't really know what's going on.
That's fair. Oh, Donny looked like he had a little bit of a moment there as he tries to maneuver his way past Blackberry Hall, who he does get past Blackberry Hall rather easily, and I'm assuming Blackberry Hall is going to allow Dominic to get through and to have a go at these Aston Martins, because Dominic is realistically the only chance of a good result for these guys left on this grid. We'll wait and see whether or not that can actually happen, and yep, that is a very quick switch of position there for the McLarens. He's still got a battle towards the front. Lighty is still holding on to the back of Luca for dear life. Your fan cable is still not having a fun time. As we go through, we've got a yellow flag. We've got a safety car, and it's the inside of the pit lane. Wildstorm is out. Wildstorm has spun into the pit lane and lost his front wheel, so he is out of this race, the AlphaTauri. And that is not good news for the AlphaTauri team, albeit one of the two drivers is currently sat second, the other one out of this race as a whole. And as a team championship, I don't think they'll be complaining about the guy in second, but might be having a word with the guy that's ended 17th.
Yeah, that doesn't sound ideal.
No, it's definitely not ideal in the slightest, as you don't usually like to see your teammate go out, especially 10 laps into a 36-lap race. The two safety cars is already two more than I believe two more anyway, from what I remember, than the entirety of Div 1 last week, albeit slightly longer version of these this condition. So Lucas stays out. White goes in.
But I am making my way back into the lobby now, so apologies on what happened there. I'm a bit confused to see what happened with the safety car, as I heard someone, I believe you said it was Wild who crashed into the pit lane entrance or something like that. You said it was?
Yes, he turned through 9, and I'm assuming couldn't keep the grip on the tires on the exit of 9 and span into the. Oh, Luca's out.
Luca's
Luca
out.
overtook the safety car.
Oh my goodness. No way. He
He's been
overtook the safety
disqualified from the
car.
session.
Oh, that's unbelievable. I can't actually believe that. He's been disqualified from the session for overtaking the safety. Did he actually overtake?
He has to. He has to. The game does not take kindly to that. It gives you about 5 seconds to get back to behind that safety car. It really hates that you overtake it. You cannot do it. It will immediately just
I actually
end your race.
can't believe that. That is put me in like complete shock. Like, what are your thoughts right now? And my cable's done it again.
Cable's got again. But that's self-sabotage. I think that's the easiest way to say that. That is unbelievable. He was in complete control of this race, Luca. There is no reason for Luca to even attempt any of this. So it has to be an overtake of the safety car. I didn't quite catch it on camera, so I'm gonna go and check the Discord. I'm almost certain it's an overtake of the safety car.
I didn't think
and
it
if
was.
it is,
That's crazy. That's actually crazy though. Like, on my screen, it didn't look like he was, it didn't look like he was overtaken. It just looked like he was behind the safety car on my side of things. But I only caught a glimpse, so I'm not too sure what actually happened. I just saw him disqualified. I was like, oh, well, that's good, I guess. And that's a good start to his season, which it isn't. But bad luck it is at the end of the day, I'm guessing.
Yeah, so going into the Discord, looking through, so Light had already made a comment in the Discord, the first safety car, that Luca was very, very close to being disqualified for overtaking said safety car, because he spent way too much time in front of it and almost got himself, but he played with fire, so if you're playing with fire that wildly, you're going to get burned. And Luca has shot himself in the foot to say, at the very least, that I don't understand, because he had this race under complete control. His teammate had just gone into pit, so it was very clear that some sort of strategy was coming into play. And
did he just misjudge, though? Has he just misjudged?
I think I don't know. I don't know. You have to spend a significant amount of time in front of the safety car. I don't know whether it's 5 or 10 seconds. But he got it wrong. He just straight up got it wrong. I'm not sure whether or not that is an actual thing, but that is...
It's crazy. I'm blown away. I'm just blown away. What have I just witnessed? I've just witnessed massive heapers of bad luck from what it could possibly be a game glitch potentially. Could that be the case? Surely not a game glitch again.
I don't think it is. I don't think it is a glitch. I've seen it before. I've seen it plenty of times before. I don't think it's a game glitch. I think he's just spent too much time in front of the safety car. And if that is the case, that's on him. It's not bad luck. It's a driver error. And if it is, obviously I'm speaking as if hypotheticals here, because I obviously don't know and probably won't know unless it gets brought in front of the stewards. And if it doesn't get brought in front of the stewards, we can safely assume that he just screwed up. But how do you get that so wrong? Like, why would you even be in front of the safety car at any point anyway? Maybe in front, if you're going into the pit.
In front of it, like, you'd just be behind and just chilling. But I honestly don't understand why he would even try to get so close. Because if there's a safety car, I will hold back. I will go nowhere near the safety car when it's coming in, or if I'm behind it, I just won't go near it. I'll keep a massive gap behind it. But hopefully, I can get back into the lobby. Hopefully.
Well,
I'm trying once again.
Safety car restart right now, and Mango has not caught anyone sleepy. He went in the middle of turn 9 and 10, so he is about a 4/10 of a second gap to Lars. As you look through, Lighty pit in the period of time, Cam pit in that period of time. So the race here for X has just gone absolutely nightmarish off the start, and we've got a three-way battle toward the back of the grid. Lighty, Henke, and Frank also. Cam's just flying on through as well, as they're going to go up towards the hairpin now. A couple of guys going in at it as well, further up the field, and Spider has not got control of his car at all, and dropped from, I think that was P4, all the way down the 9th.
What?
And
That's crazy.
It's all over the place.
It's all over the place. These indeed. Some drivers just struggling with grip, it looks like now. But good news, the rain has dropped and stopped. So could that mean
so we're
waiting for dry conditions now?
We aren't in dry conditions yet, but Lighty and Sieb have gone ahead and taken the gamble anyway. They both pitted in the safety car, and they went onto medium tires. So I guess this is a test for whether or not those are going to work so early, and whether or not that gamble is going to work out too, as Cam gets himself past Blackberry Hall in the final 3 corners of the lap, as he is now really looking to try and go after Henke and Spicer as well, as Spicer should probably not have found himself this low down, as we have got a yellow flag in sector 3, and Sieb is not having a nice time on those medium tires whatsoever. Bids again as Donique is going past Tope, and Tope is losing positions to the Aston Martins left, right and centre. And he's going to have a little bit of nightmares about that green car that continuously manages to get in front of him. And I think Cohen has managed to lose a couple of positions too, and a little bit of contact as they go down the... Oh, that did not look good. Cam touching the back of Spider as we go through turn 4, and they still continue to go side by side. A little bit of wheels banging as we go through turn 5 now, as down the hill into the second sector, touch the wheels again, as this time Spider has the inside line. Maybe he's going to be able to get in front. No, he's not, and Cam is through. Cam is through in the end, as also we have a change for the lead of this race, mainly because Mango is taking an early gamble. The track is not a slick weather track yet, but Mango is in the pits for, so I can only assume to be medium tires.
Yes,
and it is medium tires.
And I have no idea what's going on right now. I've got crazy lag on my side, but hopefully it calms and chills out. So fingers crossed it does, but I'm not too sure what will happen, but hopefully it will calm out. I don't know if it's a server. It's definitely not me because everything's fine, but I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it's a server connection, but it's a bit of a crazy lag going on right now, I'm seeing.
Yeah, and in the process, I think Spider got touched on the way through the hairpin, as he's now dropped to 12th, another 3 positions conceded. Cam's gone past Tope in the same corner. Sieb's got a 3-second time penalty for track limits. Tope, yeah, back to the Tope conversation. Tope is losing positions left, right and centre. He's now going to get caught up by Dominic in the next lap or two. And the real question is, when is everyone else gambling on a slick tyre, do you think?
Lap 16. I'm trying to think. Depends what the pace of Mango can do right now, and I guess everybody else can do. But the pace still looks quick on these inters. So Henke's on a 1 minute 12.5. I guess it just depends what Mango does, as Cam's now into the pit lane, and they have gambled and gone for the medium tyre as well. So Mango will gain a position on that. They cross the line now to take P13. Didn't set the fastest time on the track, and they get it all completely wrong on the exit there of turn number 1. So it just depends what happens now, and see if they can make any more gains and positions. And I believe they're gaining Lightly, who's in P12, by a little bit. And it looks like pretty much now. Yeah, it's a lot now. I think it's the right call to come to pits and change your tyres.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the crossover period. Lightly gained 0.2 of a second through one of the corners. They gave it back immediately. So we are pretty much smack in the middle, whether or not you choose to be on intermediates or the medium tyres. And it looks like Lars is going to go for it, and he is now into the pits.
So
and
in
so is
comes
Henke.
Lars and Henke as well, and Don in P5 and Tote. So a lot of boxing happening and a lot of gambles about to happen here, left, right, and centre. So let's go on board with the driver in P13, which is Mango, and he is going to get a good advantage if he can get a good exit here and get ahead of the Alfa Romeo. 1:12.1. So you definitely know it's the right tire to be on the exit of turn 1 then. Can he get ahead of Lars as we make our way through? Has he got the momentum? Has he got the speed? Has he got the power in that Mercedes? Has CPI got it takes to get ahead of Lars into turn 3? He's going to look for it.
He'll get it in 4 because the DRS has just been enabled. It looked a little bit early for DRS to be enabled, but it has been enabled nonetheless.
Wow,
Mango
that's interesting.
has got an open rear wing now, and here we go, down towards 4, and he gets it effortlessly. And yeah, that is for net P2 of this race, because Lightly got it right a long time ago, as he's just closing Blackberry Hall down. But another interesting point in all of this is who got left out to dry here, because I don't know about the pun was not intended. Everyone obviously had a plan of who was coming in first. Obviously, everyone on an intermediate tyre, apart from Blackberry Hall, who interestingly gone one more, has come in. So Dust Wessel, who was far ahead of Owen at the time, didn't come in. So you could effectively say that there have been some people here that have been, maybe rightly or not rightly so, been left out to dry badly. I would not be too happy if, Dust Wessel gets himself into 5th regardless, but I think he probably could have had more if he was the one to pit the lap prior instead of Owen. So the team game is extremely strong here now in terms of strategy, Oliver.
It is indeed, and I'm going to do a quick restart on my side of my game because there is a lot of lag, and I've got no idea why, so bear with for me in the background. But I'll hand you over to Taylor, who will take you through some excellent commentary and keep you updated on what's going on whilst I sort this issue out.
I say that, and as soon as he hands it back to me, Blackberry Hall is in the wall. And in the end of turn 8, they've got someone else seated in the wall too, and that's multiple drivers in the wall on the restart. And everyone setting fastest times as we go through now. Hengi, Donik, and everyone going on through one by one, setting themselves the fastest lap of this race so far. It stops, but the buck stopped at Donik in 6th. And right now, Lighty, 1.2 seconds in the lead. His tyres are 5 laps older. He did get the gamble right earlier in this race. DRS is not going to be a thing against him at this moment in time. But as a result of this, wet period and then the safety car and everyone transitioning over, CPI have now got a hold on the front of this championship after round 1. If they can keep this going for another 16 laps, as we see Lars versus Mango go through the second sector right now. So the CPI 2nd and 4th, definitely enough to keep themselves in with a shout. Cam picks up 3 seconds for track limit, so he gets himself a penalty, and X's day goes from bad to worse. Luca obviously making a horrible mistake to start with in this race, and well, I say in this race, under that second safety car, if you get that, he got that very wrong. And I don't understand how he managed to get that so wrong. Unless I am wrong and maybe a game glitch, but I don't think it is. As we see Lars go down the inside, and Lars is going to have Mango there on the inside as we head down towards turn 4 now. And the Mercedes is going to have DRS, so is Lars. And, well, we saw this in qualifying too, where Lars, the only person quicker than Lars in qualifying was Luca. And, well, Luca's not in this race anymore, so...
No, was he not?
Lars.
Oh, yeah,
No,
he was,
Luca,
yeah.
obviously. Luca was the one that got disqualified for the safety car infringement. So Lars should be in an extremely good position from here on out. This should be a very nice race for him, as we are watching him go through the second to last corner now. Him, Lighty, Mango, the front 3, all within half a second of each other. You've got Henke who might be able to back up his CPI buddy sooner rather than later. Mango screwed it up. Mango has screwed that up royally as he just lost all sorts of traction on the outside of turn 1 and on the curb, and I guess the curbs aren't dry yet, as that has cost him a position to his teammate. Now Henke has a chance to go after Lighty and Lars, who's now taken the lead of this race, as that was completely overshadowed by Mango almost putting himself in a wall right behind them.
Exactly, and I'm back in the lobby, but it seems that has not fixed it, so we'll have to bear with for now and see what happens. So I've got no idea what's going on, but tell me, what's happened? What drama have I missed?
Mostly the stuff with Mango. Everyone's come onto the medium tires. You missed Blackberry, who was the leader of the race on the intermediate tires, crashed straight into turn 8 and effectively end any chance he had of getting this right. Obviously, the guys that got hung out to dry by the strategies, the team calling on the names, are not faring all that well right now. Even when you look at, well, when you've got guys like Vettel and Owen, and you would think Owen would be doing a lot better. He got the rub on the strategy. It was definitely the right call to come in when the majority did. And you just, like, the Vettel would have been a ton better to get in first. It would have probably got him into the top 3 as we watch Henke go past Lighty, and Lighty's tires are not in a good shape compared to the rest of the grid. He's just going to start falling all the way back as we watch Danique go against Vettel now. Vettel's got better tires, but he got the outside line and actually managed to hold his position in. He also missed that Cam has got himself a 3-second track limit penalty to add to X's woes on day 1. That's pretty much it, as Mango picks up 3 seconds now for the infringement on the final corner, as he is 4th, but he is going to drop a couple of positions if this stays like this at the end of this race, which we are now just shy of 2/3 of the way through. But yeah, where do you see this one going from here, Oliver?
Well, it just depends. Like Lightly's tyres aren't doing great. Mango's got a time penalty, like you said. The Mango loses a lot of positions. It stays like this. Cam loses a lot of positions. It's not actually not going to stay P7. But to be honest, I'd say Lars has got the win, but Henke's looking very, very racy right now.
Oh yeah, Henke is one of those, as you were pointing out at the beginning, at the end of qualifying, beginning of the race, where it's more about the race pace than it is about the actual qualifying pace. Obviously, qualifying is going to be more indicative of what we see now. Frank picks up 3 seconds to add to his woes, and same with Owen, actually, both of them.
I was
on the same
saying in
point.
my head, there's not many time penalties going on. As I say that, there's a lot of time penalties coming in now.
Oh yeah, it's already more than we got the entirety of last week, and it looks like people aren't adjusted to the rain. As Henke on the inside, going into the hairpin, and closes the door nicely there on Lars as he overtakes the lead of this race, and CPI are going to be extremely happy as how this has unfolded, don't you think?
It's very interesting. CPI now leading the way, but can Lars come back? Can he? What do you reckon?
It's going to take a little bit, because usually when you get to these kind of points, if you get overtaken, you kind of can get rattled. Obviously, the quicker guys maybe not so much. The headspace of a quicker driver is obviously much different to the one that maybe me or you. But when you get overtaken, it can take a little bit of time to get it back rolling, a little bit of time just to register everything that's going on. And obviously DRS is going to help him in that procedure. But I don't know if he's going to be able to get Henke so quickly, and whether or not it would even be wise for Lars to try and make a move on Henke so quickly. Because you want to be in a position, if you can get it, going into the final lap, maybe within like half a second as second place. I think that would be a much better position, because if you can do that, then the first straight down towards turn 3 and then down through 4 and 5, it's a lot more beneficial to have that DRS and try and make a move where you know you've got 5 corners then that you can make the move. If you can make the move stick, they can't overtake you in the turn. So I think it might just be wise to play the long game here for Lars and see if he can get him very late into this race, maybe lure Henke into a false sense of security. But for now, him, Lighty, Mango, Dus, and Donika all gonna try and fight this one out for the next, 10-ish laps, Oliver.
Yes, indeed. And also, what's quite interesting is I was having a look at tyres whilst you were giving us a lovely debrief of what's happening on the track. And Lightly, 15, now 16 laps on those tyres. Can they even go to the end?
I'm not entirely sure, but he might have just come off with a little bit of damage because Mango got that exit of turn 3 all wrong, or whether or not it was induced by a little bit of contact, I'm not sure, but either way, all I saw was Lighty going straight into the back of that Mercedes. So that's probably not good when your tyres are already dying compared to everyone else's, for you to be involved in such a tussle. And if you're involved in such a tussle, it's going to slow you down massively.
So I guess we'll just see and wait to see what happens. As Lightly, it's crazy how he's done 17 laps on those tyres and he's still at the race pace he's at. That's absolutely fantastic, and that's what I love to see here at Ultimate Masters. But as we get ever so close, some drivers that haven't picked up a time penalty yet will gain a few positions. Like Dom will gain 1 position ahead of Cam to go P7. If he can keep the pace up a little bit more, he could get ahead of Mango if he stays close enough. We just got to see what happens, you know. We just got to chance it and see what happens. But Lightly is...
So he got really close to killing off this race, and he might still get the chance to kill this race off. If I was Henke, I might have been tempted to use a little bit there and guarantee that I stayed within the time, within that 1 second, because if Lars can get outside of that 1 second gap, where obviously DRS is not involved, it would essentially be game over, wouldn't it?
It just depends, because obviously DRS is very, very powerful, and... Oh!
Never mind, there's your virtual safety car. Yeah, that's Vessel.
Wow.
That's Vessel. On the
I saw an
exit
ALFA
of
Romeo
turn 4.
tangle or something that was. I'm not too sure what happened there. But Wessel went off completely, I think.
It's Lighty. It's Lighty. It's Lighty. Lighty has no front wing. Well, I say no front wing very, very dubiously. He's got no...
I just saw him go off the Williams. I thought, oh, that's a safety car, but it's a virtual safety car. So racing speed will now be neutralized to around about, I believe it's 25%. And we'll get to green flag racing once we get the confirmation from the FIA. And are we going to see anyone box? Is anyone going to take the gamble? No, not just yet. No one really, except Lightly, who's into the pit lane for a set of soft tyres, I'm going to guess. And see how many positions.
Yeah, and a new front wing.
It's a sprint race. It's a sprint race at this rate.
Yeah, also Siebes managed to survive not getting lapped by maybe half a corner. She's going down the straight now with a very, very quick Lars in his rear view mirror. We have a, top 5? Actually, no, it's not even a top 5. A DRS has been enabled, which means we are off and running again. Donik is not within DRS for when that enabled on the next lap. He needs to get himself another 10th of a second, which he has done extremely quickly and then lost it immediately on Mango. We currently have the front 3 in their own little world, CPI. So we saw this last week with CPI, funny enough. It was Gatkowski and Igor on that team who had this exact position on Mobarak. And the team game was used pretty well with roughly about this time left on the clock until the rain hit. Obviously, we're not getting more rain. We've already had our dose of rain.
Can you imagine if it rained like now? Can you imagine that?
That would be a commentator's jinx and a half. That's what that is, a commentator's curse. As we see Henke backing off from Lars. Oh,
thought he
what
was
the
gonna
hell
miss
has
it
Mango done?
Oh,
What? Where the hell is Mango going?
where is Mango going? He's lost quite a few places there. That promotes Cam up into P3. But with that time penalty, the Aston Martin could be visually P3 right now. But also Mango trying to get back to where he was, but he's also got a time penalty, so it's all about breaking the gap now. But can Cam close that gap to the top two?
Even if he closes that gap to the top two, him and Mango will be off the podium. It will be the Aston Martin without any real incidents anyway. The Aston Martin will sneak himself onto the bottom step of this podium somehow, as Lars is going to have to play a little bit coy for the rest of this race. I'm pretty sure that's his second warning for extending on the final corner by quite a country mile, as well as he's got Henke just blasted onto the back of him. But that's the second time, going back to the Mango situation, we've seen him go a little bit to the outside, maybe onto a curve, maybe onto a little bit of the tarmac on the opposite side of that curve, and just going nowhere in terms of turning a corner. He's just losing the car, losing a braking point, whatever you want to call it. It's just not been what I'm accustomed to seeing from Mango up to this point. But he's lucky that his teammate is also having a blinder of a race, but he needs to find half a second on Lars here to win this one. Do you think he can do it, Oliver?
I think he can, you know. I think he could. It just depends on what's going to happen towards the end of this remaining laps, because, you know, it can get quite interesting, quite competitive. So to lap 33 we go. We've got about 3-4 more laps of racing, so it could get quite intense now. Full focus for the drivers. Game on.
Yeah, it's definitely game on, as we've got about 4 laps left of this race, and here comes Henke, who's actually very content and just playing the waiting game. And this is what I was talking about earlier. This is what Henke is displaying exactly what I think Lars should have done. Play just the long game, get yourself into a position where you know you can make an overtake, and at that point it's not down to the other driver, you just have to execute. It's a case of whether or not in a couple of laps time, we hit lap 35 or lap 36, whether or not Henke is able to execute this nicely, as we see Cam dropping over 2 seconds back now, and that is the power of not having DRS. It's extremely powerful here, Oliver.
Yeah, it is, and yes, I think that's Cam done and dusted. That could be setting good ways for Don, who's in P4, to take that podium. And I think he's really deserved today. He's done an excellent drive, and I think Aston Martin or NLR would be very, very happy if he got a podium today with the first Open to the season. But now NLR and CPI going at it. Who is going to take the win? Predictions, Taylor.
My money is on, if Henke plays this smart, which you're giving credit, with 3 laps left of this race, we've just got past the overtaking point, so essentially 2 more attempts at an overtake. I think if he plays this smart, he's winning, because I think he's got enough in the tank to execute this perfectly. He's got 100% battery. He's got 87 on the opposite end with Lars, so he has more battery. He has more chance to go at Lars here, does Henke, and it's just a case of how smart does the Mercedes play this, because obviously third set, he's got a long way to go for Cam or Mango or Dominic even, if that was to happen, to maybe sneak in and overtake it, but that just simply isn't happening. So the Aston Martin will absolutely love the bottom step of the podium. But the front 2, this is not over. This is absolutely not over. It's just a case of when Henke picks his spot, and Henke does the smart thing. Henke does exactly what I thought he would do. He goes to the very last lap of the race now, and this entire race is not in Lars' hands anymore. It's entirely on whether or not Henke can execute this final lap well enough to make an early move. If he could get a move into the hairpin or a move into turn 4, it's game over. That's it. Then Henke will win this race, but he got to execute this final lap.
I guess we see what happens. The gap is starting to build up once again, but then he gets quite closer towards the end of lap 35 to 36 we go. Taylor, you have the wonderful lines, a wonderful commentary. Let's take it to the final lap. It's game on.
All right, let's go. Let's go. We're heading down the home straight for the second to last time, as we've got, well, essentially 2 more bits of DRS. So Henke doesn't go for the first one. Obviously, that would make absolutely no sense going into turn 1. We've got a yellow flag in turn 3. That is Taupe messing up, I think. Here comes Henke on the outside. Tries it, doesn't get it. He's going to try and switch to the inside. Doesn't get that hybrid. He is out of time if he can't make a move down this corner. Expect a lunge. Here comes the Mercedes. The defense on the inside from the Alfa Romeo. Lars has the inside. He's going for a switchback. Here comes Henke. He's lost the car, but so did Lars. And they both have a little bit of a slide as they go through turn 5 now. And they both go through the end of the second sector. And it looks like it's game over. It looks like Lars is going to be able to hold on. It was not close. It was not executed well enough here by Henke. He's got one last shot. He's going to go for this one last time through turn 9 on the outside. They've come together, and it's wide here for Henke. And Henke that's definitely getting gained an advantage off the track as Henke somehow goes over the line to win. And
wow,
I'm not entirely sure how legal that is. But Henke wins the race. Lars comes second. Dunny comes third. He's going to absolutely take that. Cam comes fourth by 4,000ths of a second to Dominic in fifth, who would have absolutely loved to sneak his 2 extra positions, doesn't get to do so. Mango gets 6th. Spider gets 7th. His race was rather underwhelming, but that could also be said because of NLR's qualifying ban. Roger gets 8th, and I think LRN will be happy with their haul of points today. Lighty gets 9th, and his teammate DNF. So what was looking like the perfect race for the AlphaTauris ended up pretty much nowhere, and the same could probably be said for X as well in the Ferrari. Frank came 10th after a pretty good qualifying, saw him 3rd, but whether it was a gamble on the wrong setup or whatever it was for Frank, it was just not his day. And Spider ends up getting driver of the day from the game, which is, I'm not sure I would be agreeing with that one.
That was fantastic.
A lot more. Yeah, that.
Apart from my, I don't know if it was my game or my Wi-Fi, but my Wi-Fi seemed fine. So apart from the unfortunate lag we had there, I got some sort of the battle roughness, but that was actually quite exciting to watch.
Yeah, it absolutely was, and it even went later on into the race than we saw last week, and it was all over the place in terms of rain, who's get the strategy right from the rain. Did they even get the strategy right from the rain by pitting early? Because then they had to pit again in the case of Lighty, who went on to soft because of front wing damage. And then after all that, you still had a last lap out, even a last couple of corners there where Henke goes off the track to win the race. Yeah. So the
game allowed it, though. The game allowed it.
The game allowed it. I'm not sure the stewards will. So
depends.
I don't even think this is done.
Well, we'll find out later on. CPI 1st and 6th, I believe it was, yeah. And then Alfa Romeo 2nd and 7th. Interesting.
Yeah,
Very
everything.
interesting.
Everything was just all over the place there. I am extremely sad to see what happened to the Alpines now. The Alpine, they looked so good in qualifying. I had high hopes, very high hopes for that qualifying after that qualifying for the Alpines. That just went absolutely nowhere in the end.
Well, it didn't.
And yeah, they've got Singapore in 2 weeks' time.
Exactly, and that's what I'm going to be excited for. Singapore, lovely track. So we'll see how we get on there. And I guess for now, it's time for us to run away.
Yeah, and it's been a great day. I enjoyed it.
Yes, it's been
Thanks for
fantastic.
thanks for being with me.
No worries. So, guys, we'll see you in 2 weeks' time at Singapore. We'll see what happens there. It's gonna be quite exciting to see some tough battles 'cause it's quite a tight circuit, tricky to navigate through. But we'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, stay safe, and it's me and Taylor out. See you guys next week.
Peace.
Bye bye.
On they ass, bitch, I'm on the rail. I wrap it, I bag it, I pack it for sale. Got feeling on speed out, hit me to chill. I give it a thrill, I put it on film. Niggas beside get applaud, that ain't real. Come to my section and flex, we can tell. I got a show and she dipping them nails. I'm flipping my L's, I know they can tell. I did it too major, they hit me for favors. Been him since the cable was cut in the crater. What's up, only right that I do it. Colossal until I'm a fossil, they want me to fail. Look, we prevail. Tell them to point out who said that they run it. Bitch, I'm on your tail. Know that they talking, they telling them tales. Just know how to tell, that shit for the sale. Yeah.
Honestly, I know it's hard to believe, but you have to trust me. It's got maximum taste and zero sugar.
Stop playing games, wooden boy.
No, I'm a real boy.
Pepsi Max. Maximum taste, zero sugar. Try and believe.
What do you see here? Maybe history, or maybe it's the future.
Amarti mi consola. Amami ancora. Fallo dolcemente. Un anno e mezzo, un'ora.
Tonali plug-in hybrid, a new charge of sportiness.